Getting to your calls, getting to your texts here on Cougar Nation, which is sponsored by Central Bank. Let's hit a few texts and we'll get out to the phone line. Texter 6682, my biggest concern this year was the offense. We are putting up points, and if we make it to the red zone, we're getting touchdowns. Both of those make me more confident in our future. Here's another good one, 1352. This is sort of how I feel. I guess I'm spoiling my opinion for later, but national attention is BYU's kryptonite. That's kind of how I feel in a nice condensed sentence. We can break that down a little further, but Mitch, let's get out to the phone line right now. We're going up to South Jordan. Carson, are you nervous or excited about this national attention the Cougars are getting?
I'm really excited. Because back when we were in the independent, we didn't get the attention even though when we were winning. But now the Big 12 really gets us up there and gets us pumped up. So I hope the boys can really do good this week and keep us up and get a good win this week.
Carson, what's your prediction this weekend against Arizona? How do you think it plays out?
I think we can do really good. It's all about just Jake Retzlaff throw the ball. Just does he get the ball to the receivers really well this week? And I think we can win this one because it's at our house and we have a great fan base.
Thanks, Carson. Appreciate the call. And yes, I think if Retzlaff can get the ball to his playmakers, BYU will have a great shot. And hopefully some of those playmakers include, LJ Martin. I think everyone's excited to see what's next for Sione Aimoa.
Yeah.
That was tantalizing in that Kansas State game. And it's he's gone for 2 weeks. It's let's see a little bit more of that.
Yep.
And then, of course, LJ as well. Let's get back out to the phone line. Our dear friend, Linda, on Cougar Nation. Linda, what's on your mind this week?
Oh, I'm looking forward to us playing on Saturday, and I'm real happy about that we get to be on Fox.
Yeah.
It's going to be so cool.
That's kind of crazy. Does that make it more exciting that this has, look, if you don't know, we might be breaking some news here. Hang with us, Linda. But Big Noon kickoff is coming. The Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, the top Fox team is calling the game. Does that make it more exciting with this extra attention?
Absolutely. I think it does. Of course, I'll listen to Greg Rebel because I'm blind in it, and he really is him and
Hans Olsen.
Hans. I like them both. They are wonderful. And so when it comes to the game, I've got to listen to them. Are you guys going to be on the air too before it starts?
Yeah, we'll have some airtime as well leading up to kickoff. But appreciate the call, Linda. BYU Arizona kickoff on Saturday, 2 p.m. this Saturday here on KSL, and then of course Network TV.
What time should fans get down to Provo with Big Noon?
Yes, so it starts at 8 a.m. So we still don't know the location yet. I'm assuming
there's only one location for it to be, in the West parking lot. Where else would you put it?
Well, I was thinking,
because you have to have the mountains in the background. You can't put it in the other by the Marriott Center. That would look horrible.
You got to have that background view of the mountains, and that's where College Game Day was in 2009. The last time BYU had a national college football game day or pregame show. And that's what Big Noon Kickoff is with Urban Meyer going to come make his return to Provo. First time since 2003.
How many Team Down South references do we get in this show?
I'm sure there'll be – I would like to think Urban's moved on. Remember that 2020 season? He was saying BYU was like one of the two best teams in college football.
True. Good point.
He was hyping them up. He thought they were going to just cruise through Coastal Carolina, and – so he was pretty complimentary, and I think him and Kalani, I know they didn't coach together, but they've crossed paths in some capacity. I think there's some respect there for Kalani. But at BYU at large, I'd like to think Urban, a Midwest guy, has moved on completely from all of that. But, I mean, once you taste BYU-Utah rivalry, it kind of just sits in your soul. So I can understand why
you don't ever move on from that rivalry.
You don't. Once you've
Ever.
experienced that and you're a head coach. And look, I think Cougar fans will probably be a little bit chippy, not chippy, but maybe have some signs geared towards him because
I hope they do.
Let's face it. If it wasn't for him, Utah doesn't go on some of the run that they've had. Like it kind of changed.
If it wasn't
with
for
Urban.
him and the momentum he built, do they even get invited to the Pac-12?
Yeah, so that'll be fun to see Urban there, and then we'll get Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt in the booth. It's going to be a great time. Like Gus Johnson. He was last on a BYU game. I went and looked through this today. 2011, Jimmer's final game is a BYU Cougar in the NCAA tournament. So hopefully it's a little bit better outcome for BYU this week with Gus on the call.
I won't deny, though, to answer the question, Mitch, I am insanely nervous about all this extra attention. You have a major broadcast team on site. All I can think about are the times that BYU has failed in these situations. You mentioned that game day game. They got blown out off the map.
Was it 32-7?
Yeah, TCU blew them away. And there's been other games, too, where it's like, even in earlier that year, they were starting to get some buzz, and then Florida State comes in and kills you. Think about some of that 2020 year's a good one, too, because even while they were winning, you'd get the playoff dude, the committee chair up there. Well,
Barta.
Their resume, it's
Barta.
crap. They just can't make it. And then that led to the Coastal loss, and the most recent one that really comes to mind is 2021. Boise loses, and you got one of my favorite guys, Dave Pasch, comes in, and it's that rainy, kind of nasty game against the Broncos. You're like, this Bronco team they're no good.
Yep.
And then you're up 10-0, and then fumbleitis, and then you lose that thing. So there haven't been a lot of, let's put the microscope on you. I guess the one time that it did pan out this way, you have the Nebraska Hail Mary, and the next week, they were following Tanner Mangum, and there was the feature on ESPN, and then they followed it up with the win against Boise State. But at least in my mind, a lot of the time when this happens, you are asking for pain and heartache, and I'm sort of preparing for that.
Well, I think it's kind of the storyline with this BYU team because they were so kind of public of, you don't know what we know, and we're out to basically prove ourselves right, but part of us wants to prove you wrong too. And that chip on the shoulder was clearly there in the first 5 games of the season when everyone's thought, oh, you're going to go to Baylor, you're still an underdog, and you're not viewed as the favorite, and still no one's respecting you. That's not here this week. Arizona laid an absolute egg against Texas Tech in their Big 12 home opener. They're reeling, and they've got personnel, and anyone in the Big 12 can pull off a shocking win. So, that's the thing I think what makes this kind of a storyline, if you will, is because BYU just thrived about saying, oh, you think we're down and out? Oh, you don't think we're good enough? Okay, we're going to show you. And they kind of thrived on that. I think even Jake Retzloff in his post-game interviews said, oh, Vegas said we were going to win 4.5 games. Already beat that. So it's like,
right.
You are now a thing in college football where the playoff, the bracketology.
The graphics, you showed up as the 4 seed in some of these bracketology graphics.
Right. BYU is in the thick of the conversation nationally. They got the best strength of record, which I don't think 72 hours before this weekend, fans probably didn't know what strength of record was. Now they're living it up. Number 1 in strength of record,
and
baby.
We all thought it was a cakewalk beforehand.
Number 1 in strength of record. But, it's...
we love that trip to Wyoming now. You want it again?
No, I still don't want to go to Laramie. But, yes, I just think that, BYU in these spots historically says, okay, this might be a danger zone. But I have confidence this team is still built to go on a run. And the schedule is shaping up nicely. If you can take care of business in this game and the Oklahoma State game,
they're taking care of business against Oklahoma
everything
State.
Is in front of BYU to go on a run to win the Big 12. That's all in front of them, Matt.
It really is. The Big 12 championship game is squarely in the mix because not only are they undefeated, but I think a lot of people would still say, if you gave them truth serum, who is the best team in the Big 12? Forget about the records and up to this point, the wins and losses. If you're just objectively saying which team do you think is the best team, which is that's what college football has been for years and years and years, is we're not really looking at the wins and the losses and the strength of schedule. It's, this 14 playoff was a lot of time which team is the best team at that time. I think a lot of people still say Kansas State. And you've got that trump card because you've got the tiebreaker over the Wildcats. So it is a realistic scenario that you could be going to Arlington, it's crazy to say that, honestly, because I was one of the people that did not pick this team to go to a bowl game. I had them at 5-7, which I feel safe in saying I'm going to be wrong on that. I think they're going to a bowl game. Hard to believe, Mitch.
Cougar Nation, sponsored by Central Bank. We're taking more of your phone calls next, 801-575 8255. We'll also preview more of this BYU-Arizona matchup next here on KSL News Radio.